Hi, I'm Mr. Kangas, and today we're going to be taking a look at Chapter 6, Section 5, Fractions, Decimals, and Percents. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at how to change a percentage into a decimal. So first thing we're going to look at is a simple percentage such as 10%. Okay. 10% literally means the percent sign means out of 100. So 10% literally means 10 out of 100, which I know is a fraction. But in order to get the decimal of a percent, you would first want to convert it into a fraction. At which point we can say we can do 10 divided by 100, which if you do it out will get you 0.1. So you do 10 divided by 100. This is one of the ways that you can get the decimal version or decimal answer to a percentage. The other way that you can do it, which is probably the simpler way, okay, it's still the same concept. You're still dividing by 100, but there's kind of a shortcut to it. When you take a number and multiply it by 10, so if I have like 248 and I multiply it by 10, I get 2,480. And what happened here, going from here to my answer, is the decimal on 248 right here, okay? And that decimal got moved over one space. So when I take 248 and I move its decimal over once, what's happening is the other side of that decimal right now on 248 is full of zeros. There's an infinite amount of zeros. So when I move that decimal over once, I then get 2,480. Okay, and then technically there's 0.00000. But all that's happening when you multiply by 10 is the decimals moving over once. Another example would be 24.5 times 10. The decimal moves over one space, so I get 245. And then if I wanted to, I could put all the 0.00000. And I'll do one more example just to show you. If I have 36.29 and I multiply it by 10, decimal moves over one space, so I get 362.9. Decimal moved over one space when I multiplied by 10. Similar concept applies to multiplying by 100. The only difference is I now have a decimal that moves over two spaces. Okay, so 248 had a decimal right here, moves over two spaces. Those spaces are blank because they're actually zeros. So it would become 248 with two zeros on the end, which is 24,800. So there's a thing about multiples of 10. They all move the decimal over a certain amount of spaces. So 248 times 1,000, okay, if you haven't caught on yet, is going to move that decimal 3 spaces. Okay, no matter what number it is, that decimal will move over 3 spaces when you multiply by 1,000. The shortcut rule here is basically 10 has 1 0, so it moves the decimal place over once. 2 zeros, 2 decimal places. 3 zeros, 3 decimal places. And this only works with multiples of 10. Now, when you multiply, this decimal is moving to the right. Now, multiplication and division are opposites. Okay? So that means they function in opposite ways. So, if multiplying 248 will take its decimal and move it to the right one space, then 248 divided by 10 will do the opposite, and instead of moving that decimal to the right, is going to move that decimal to the left. 248 divided by 10 would be 24.8. Okay? So dividing by 10 will move the decimal left one space. Dividing by 100 will move the decimal left 2 spaces. Dividing by 1,000 will move that decimal left 3 spaces, etc. Why am I going over this? Because percentages literally mean out of 100. So the fraction here of 10 over 100 literally means 10 divided by 100. So every single percentage is a number divided by 100. That's what a percentage is. So when you see 56%, you are looking at 56 out of 100, or in other words, 56 divided by 100. Okay? When I have 32.78%, I am looking at 32.78 divided by 100. Okay? And like we discussed, when you're dividing by multiples of 10, when we divided by 10, it moved the decimal left one space. When we divide by 100, it moves the decimal left 2 spaces. So all we need to do to get the decimal for a percent is take the number, the 10, move the decimal left 2 spaces. So the decimal for 10 is right here. We move the decimal left 2 spaces, and we get 0.10 for our decimal. That's it, because what 10% means is 10 divided by 100. Okay, 10 divided by 100. So move that decimal left 2 places on the 10. Okay, let's take a look at a couple more examples. If we have, let's go with 10.5%. Okay, this means 10.5 divided by 100. So if we're dividing by 100, move the decimal left 2 spaces. 1, 2, we get 0.105, 10.5%. Okay, let's do another example. Okay, what happens if you have 0.016%? Okay, it's still the same thing. It's 0.016 divided by 100, or out of 100. Move that decimal left 2 spaces. Blank spaces are filled in with zeros. 1, 2 zeros. 0.016. Okay, I just wrote 0.016% as a decimal. Let's look at one more example. What if I have something over 100%? What if I have like 154.6%? Well, this just means 154.6 out of 100. Dividing by 100 moves the decimal left 2 spaces. So we get 1.546. Decimal left 2 spaces. Okay. That is really all there is to changing a percent into a decimal. So if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, tune in for the next video. There is one more video on this section where we talk about expressing decimals and fractions as percentages. So tune in for that.